Okay, I hope this goes well. Let me check one thing in StreamerBot, because I hated that things did not work as they should. It is all connected. Everything is live. I don't know. I don't know why things didn't work. It is weird. Okay, close that one. I'm sorry, people. I wanted to check a few things. Let me try again. Wait, maybe if I close StreamerBot and then reopen it again. Let's see if it understands now. Just a quick test. Yes! Okay. That's working again. Perfect. Now I need to... Oh, stay here. Thank you. And we're back again. Thank you for waiting for me. And Shannon, you said you made friends with the like button. Thank you very much. You're drying your hair from your shower to prepare for your stream on the next hour. Excellent. So my day today, if you haven't seen the previous stream, my day today was a bit... It was a mix of really excitement and utter disappointment. Let me explain that. This morning I was in a recording session with my artist friend Andy Fraser. He has made the artwork for the Flutter Nymph. And it was a great session. We had lots of fun. We talked about so many things concerning artwork. It was incredible. And we talked about, okay, you know, I'm going to publish it, and he was going to look at it before I'm going to publish it. And just at the hunch, after we closed down and everything, and we said our goodbyes, I checked the recordings. His recordings are perfect. Perfect video, perfect sound, no problem at all. My recordings, perfect video, no sound. The audio track was completely empty, and I was like, no! We've sat for an hour. We talked for an hour, and we talked about so many things. So that's why my morning was both exciting, because we talked so much about the Flutter Nymph and the art process and things like that, and disappointing at the same time. Luckily, he's willing to help me, and we're doing a new recording next week. So fingers crossed that everything will go all right next week. Because it's. I mean, when these things happen, you don't want them to happen. But yeah, sometimes you don't have a choice. If you are, for those who are just checking in, welcome. I hope you have had a wonderful Friday. And for those who don't know me, my name is Wow, words are hard. My name is Ilse. I am a magic wielding Hamdina or dragon companion and creator of worlds. And one of the worlds I have created is Tergaenae. And in Tergaenae, I am writing the Tergaenae Chronicles. I am writing Go Fly. Go Fly was originally just a background story. And then I decided, you know what, I need to do a little bit more with that. You know, I'm going to make it a short story, and my future, the subscribers of my future newsletter, they will get it for free. And I am halfway through the story, and I'm 15,000 words in. So that's officially, most definitely not a short story anymore. So I expect that we'll need 6 more chapters. So if I'm going by what I've already written, and just double that because I've already written 6 chapters, I'm going to be at a word count of 30,000. So, yeah, there's that. Did not expect that. I mean, this was supposed to be a short story. I will see how it goes, how it ends up after several revisions and such. And if you want to have sneak peeks or get updates besides my live streams, I sometimes post also updates in the Fantasy Tavern Discord, which is linked in the chat at this moment. And I will see if I can pin it. Yes, yeah, I can. And I'm a bit out of words. So yeah, we do the Golden Quill Month in January, April, September, and November. We run that through Discord and with live streams here on my channel. And the rest of the time we do the Silver Ink months, and those are not community events, but these are the things that we do just by ourselves, but we post it in the Fantasy Tavern Discord. And we give each other feedback, and we give each other support, and basically anything that you can think of, we try to help with. So be sure to check out the Discord. And Tish, you're here. Thank you for joining again. And Rita, Rita, hello again. Before you dive into your writing, you'll be doing yoga for 10 minutes. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I still haven't started with yoga. I have tried it once during an event, but at that time it wasn't really something for me. Maybe I'll just find some other way to participate in such things. Who knows? Maybe it will help me with my brain issues. Because yeah, the post-COVID is still a thing, but that's fine. That's fine. I can work with that. So what is YouTube doing? Oh, yeah, okay. For a moment I thought the tech gremlins had hit me again. But they didn't. I'm relieved. So, what am I going to do today? I was thinking about doing one creativity stream, because I like to do that. And I see the chat is not. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. So the fact that I changed so quickly between the streams appears to have been a bit too much for the chat integration in my stream, because that is still on the old stream, and right now I don't know how to fix that. Okay, let me see. If I do refresh, I hope that works. No, that's writing sessions. That's too soon. Okay, let me quickly test that. Just a little test. Let's see. Yes, okay, that was it. I just needed to refresh the page. Good, good. The gremlins have left me for the moment. For the moment, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they won't return. Yeah. So we'll do one creativity sprint, and then I may have some extra questions for you guys. Yeah. Let's do that. I was checking one thing that I had written down, but yeah, we'll do that. I'm not going to write in my manuscript. I am going to do some admin work that I needed to do because my brain is not ready anymore for writing in GoFly. But as in writing words in my manuscript. But I need to do some research. And I need to think about this one character that surprised me. I'll tell you all about that later on. So I need to dive a bit deeper into that and do a little bit of admin work, and from there I'll see. So let's start our creative session. And I normally do, for those who don't know, I normally do creative sessions of 1 hour because that seems to work for me for some reason. No idea why, but that is the best that currently works. So I will see you guys in 60 minutes. And I wish you a lot of fun. And I'll put on my headphones so that you don't hear the echoing sound. That is to say, if my headphones keep on cooperating. Stay. There we go. It's not handy. and that is the end of our creative session. How did it go for you guys? Like I said, I did some admin work, and that went okay. It took some more time than I expected, so I didn't dive into this one character that surprised me this week. But I didn't get the chance yet to tell you guys about this specific character. So, it's one of the bad guys in Go Fly. And I think it was yesterday that I woke up and he told me that he actually was not one of the bad guys. And I was like, can you maybe stick to your role? Yeah, he wasn't planning on doing anything like that. So now I need to figure out, before I end Go Fly, what exactly his role is. So I need to dive some deeper into that. See if I can, grab his attention somehow. Hopefully he's not too drunk anymore when I get his attention. And see what information I can pry from him about his true intentions, his true job, his disguise. Because he said he's in disguise. I have no clue as to what he's up to. So I need to figure that out. Because I had expected for him to do certain things. And I need to know if he will still do those things or not. And if he doesn't do those things, where is he gonna end up? At the end of Go Fly or soon after Go Fly? Because I need to know that for the future. Because what I thought he was going to do and how that might play out in the Tergaenae Chronicles and in the Confectioner's Journey might not be how it plays out. So I've got some discovery to do there. And so I didn't have time to dive into that. But I will do that sometime this weekend. So everything so far has been working in this live stream, at least. So I'm happy about that. That is to say, yeah, okay. It works. Tish, you said you're working on chapters, you in 60 minutes. How did it go? Did you manage to go through all the... Did you manage to go through the whole chapter, or do you still need some work? Gilby, welcome in. You swivel into the chat fatly as a tech priest who is fat. Excellent. And nerds unite. And that orange yellow burb on the branch is so cute. Yeah, there are so many cute birds in this video. I really like it. Dita, welcome in. Hey ho. You've been working some already. You've been sorting a new first chapter for book 2 at the moment. Excellent. How's that going? How did it go through this creative session? And Adita says, the birds are cute. You sort of never had time to look at them before because you've been busy writing. Yeah, it's for me, it's just I look at them every now and then, and I know certain birds are there, and for me they are really the inspiration. One of the inspirations for Tergaenae, and the sound of the singing birds, that's also fun to hear while I'm working on a story in Tergaenae. And I don't need the video, but it's fun nonetheless. And you say you have to try to find time to join here more often. I hope you can. It would be wonderful to see you here. And Tish waves us hello to Dida. And vice versa. Tish, you're still editing, but you're making progress. Excellent to hear. And Gilby, you are doing writing for about 2 hours prior to realizing, wait, stream is happening. But since your arrival, you've cooked up a description for a tech horror, which even makes you feel unnerved, and you came up with it. Gilby, what's that about? I'm not used to that from you. So that's going to be interesting. Tell us more either here in the chat or in the Discord later on. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. And Dida says, Rascal characters. Indeed, indeed. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys today, I think I didn't ask that yet. Yeah, it's in the text field below. If a genie offered you 3 writing wishes, what would they be? I have to be honest, I'm not sure. Well, for my brain to work properly again, and at the same time, it's not working against me anymore. So that's a good thing, I guess. So do I really need that? I mean, I don't know. Another writing wish. I wish if I can wish anything, I wish I could visit Bora Bora, Mauritius. Yeah, that's Mauritius. And the Hanson Dune Caves, because these 3 locations are the inspiration for Tergaenae. So I would love to visit those islands and that huge cave. I would love to see and to feel, to experience that on my own, instead of only seeing it on photos and in videos. So, Writing Genie, if you were there somewhere, if you could make this happen, it would be so amazing. And the 3rd writing wish, I don't know. Not yet. Gilby, you said you'll put it in the Discord now because you're not sure if you could fit it sufficiently in the Twitch chat. Understandable. And Publish with Andy, thank you for popping in. You're popping by to boop the like button and stuff. You can't stay, but you wish me a good stream. Thank you very much. And I hope you can join us next time again. Monday, 1:30 p.m. Central European Time, which is around 6:30 a.m. USA time. Yeah. Tish, unlimited coffee, tea, and a vivid imagination. Exactly. That works great. Those are wonderful wishes to wish for from the genie. And let's see, do we have another one? I think I do. Right. I think this is a fun one as well. Let me grab that. There we go. What's your favorite writing rule to smash into smithereens? Tell me all about it. I'm looking forward to it. Let's do that. Okay. You'd wish for a very quiet and polite housekeeper. You know, that's actually a very good one. I might put that on my wish list as well. And the other 2, you need to think more about it. No problem. And it has to be about the passive writing, because that's a tool too. Yeah. I mean, it's how should I say that? People have a certain writing style, and the passive writing is making it more distance from your audience. So the more active you can make it, the more your audience, my apologies, the more your audience feels involved and feels connected to your story. But at the same time, you sometimes just need it. So there's that balance that you have to look for. So yeah. And Tish says, you like that one, A Quiet Housekeeper. And did you say maybe top one, you should not stop mid-sentence? That's a killer for an HDAD writer. I can imagine that, yeah. I mean, sometimes I stop mid-sentence because I go to another piece in my writing, and after a session I might come to the conclusion that yes, I'm too tired to keep on writing, but there's that one sentence that's not finished. And then I will leave it because I was already working on another earlier piece in my writing. But yeah, it does bug me as well. Gilby, you say there we go. You popped the description of your version of the Mokoi in Le Discours. Excellent. Let me check that. I am very curious right now. Oh yeah, that's a long one. Okay, let's see. The Mokoi or Mokwa in Aboriginal Dreamtime belief is an evil sorcerer who abducts and eats children. Oh my god. Gilby, what do you... Oh my god. Okay. My depiction has it as an unnaturally tall, emaciated figure with a dozen glowing red optics in its face. Okay. Teeth like a saw blade. And 2 rusted machetes protruding from its forearms dripping with blood. So, Gilby, I'm gonna stay far away from this creature. This is scary as heck. And as it walks, it leaves bloody footprints which hiss and turn to vapor in its wake. Yeah, okay. While its torso is wrapped with rusted chains from which hang... Okay. If I'm having nightmares tonight, I'm coming to you tomorrow. The Mokoi innately knows the names of children it plots to abduct, and it can track any device which contains recordings of it, whether audio or visual, allowing it to easily abduct 21st century children due to parents these days typically giving their kids phones. Interesting. But yeah, scary as heck. So, oh my god. If I have nightmares, I'm coming for you tomorrow. Because yeah, that gives me the shivers down my spine. Dita, yes, with passive you mean those times it's needed because it can give certain signals used right. Exactly. And I find that with multiple writing rules. I mean, there's show don't tell, but you have to find the balance there as well. There are times when you need to tell, because there is simply no way of showing. So forcing yourself to show instead of tell will not do good to your story. So yeah, it's I mean, writing rules are there. How should I say that? They can be useful. My apologies. My nose was itching. Writing rules can be useful, but use them as a guideline instead of a hard rule. And if you use them as a guideline, it will make your story much stronger. If you use them as a hard rule, you will find that, or at least in my experience, let me put it that way, you may find yourself very limited because of that hard rule. And you may find yourself creatively limited, story-wise limited, to limited to bring your story where you'd like it to be, because you stick to those hard rules. So using them as a guideline is way more efficient in your writing process. And Gilby, that's fat imagination, exactly. And you love some of those details. And Tish says, that's dreadful, Gilby. It so is. And Gilby, you say, if you come after me, let me know so, so you can have a word to the Mokoi first. Yeah, well, no, that's not how this works. If you give me nightmares, you can't send that Mokoi after me. That's not how this works. And did you say, if you want speed, you must tell, not show sometimes, exactly. And overused show don't tell is just, sorry, juvenile. Yeah, I mean, yes, showing brings your showing makes sure that your reader feels closer to your story. Like I said yesterday, I think, this morning when I was talking with Andy, instead of imagine it's cold outside and your character goes outside, and she has just a flimsy shirt with short sleeves, and you can say she got goosebumps and she's trembling of the cold. Or you could say she was rubbing her arms and shivering. That last shows that it is cold. You don't need to tell the audience it's cold. You get them involved. But like Dita said, if you want to speed up your story for one reason or another, and especially if you really need to speed up your story, then there are simply things that you need to tell. For example, you could think of time that has passed, or information that needs to be relayed to one of your main characters, because that particular character hasn't been somewhere. Then that message needs to be relayed instead of getting your character somewhere they can experience the result of that message, if that's not needed. I mean, so you can have someone bring him or her a note on which that message is written. That's essentially telling, because you don't let the character experience hearing that message when he's there. Or while being at the location where that message is said, or the event has happened. But your character doesn't need to be there always. So yeah, that's the balance you have to find between showing and telling. You need both in your story. One can't do without the other. And as Dita says correctly, for those who are new, it's important to understand you don't think about rules when first drafting. Exactly. It's don't let yourself be limited. Just write. That first draft is to get it all out, is to tell yourself the story, to get all the elements out. Make sure that the characters are there. Make sure that, I don't know, the animals or any creatures that are there that need to be there, that they are there. The items, I don't know, the big sword in the stone. You know, that's it's actually there where it needs to be, or it's missing if it should be missing. Those are the things that you make sure that are in your first draft. the balance between showing and telling, and having the right sentences, having the right interpunction, is that the correct word, with the exclamation mark, the question marks, etc., points, Oxford comma, etc. That comes later. Those, especially the language technical stuff, that comes later. Grammar, spelling, that's not important. That's important when you are working basically on your final version. Your final version that you want of the book that you want to publish, your final version is the version where you fix your grammar, where you fix your spelling, basically the copy line editing before a copy line editor does it. Things like that, the right words that you use. That's for the last version. Until that moment, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it as well. I have posted in the Discord sometimes, a few times, pieces of text of which I wasn't sure, like, okay, should I write it this way or should I write it that way? In essence, it didn't really matter for the story, but at that moment it mattered for me because it's not that it was holding me back necessarily, but it was also seeing how a character was acting and how he or she would sound like. Grasping that feeling, that's what I was looking for. That is when I will ask input, I will ask feedback from Dida, for example, and from Gilby and the others in the Fantasy Tavern Discord. That's what I love. That's one of the many things I love of our Discord. We support each other with that, but it's not something that's needed at this point in my story. It's not essential for the story flow and for the characters. It's just what's in my mind. But in the end, I have to make sure that it is correct, that I don't have purple prose, or that I do have purple prose where it is needed. I mean, you can have a character who uses fancy words, for example, in comparison to a character who has lived on the streets and is used to that and has a completely different way of speaking. So those are the things that you will gradually develop during your revisions. And I mean, like I said, it's not needed, especially not in your first draft. Your first draft, get it all out. Get that word vomit out. Essentially, that's it. Your first draft is also, you don't need to look at the word count, because that doesn't matter. Let me explain that. It doesn't matter because in revisions you will add stuff that you're missing, you will remove stuff that you find isn't correct, or your story has developed in a way that you think that some stuff in chapter 1, for example, should be moved to, I don't know, chapter 10, or it should be moved to another book. Or, for example, what I am doing right now, I'm writing Go Fly because I like the event, and I think the event is quite important for these three brothers. And the event is referred to several times in the main storyline, in the main Tergaenae Chronicle books. I can have someone tell that whole story in the main Tergaenae Chronicles, but to me that felt like info dumping, and it doesn't need to be in the main story as a whole background. it needs to be referred to, but it doesn't need to be there as a complete background. And that's why I decided to write it. And at first it was just a short story. But yeah, I'm not good in short stories. Well, originally it was like, okay, you know what? I'll just simply write the background and that's enough. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I can make it a fun short story for my future, or for the the subscribers to my future newsletter. And I was like, I mean, that can be a fun story to share with you all in the future, and people can read it up front before the main Tergaenae Chronicles series is released, and it's a fun, it's an interesting thing. Let me put it that way, and it doesn't need to be in its entirety part of the main Tergaenae Chronicles. The more I started to work on it, the more I realized that it is a good thing that I didn't make it part of the Tergaenae Chronicles, because it's just way too long already. I mean, I'm 6 chapters in. I still need to write about 5 chapters, and I'm already at 15,000 words. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. But it's something that I needed to get out, and it's the first draft of this story. The main Tergaenae Chronicles, that's a whole different ballgame. But this is the first draft of Go Fly, and I'm just writing it as I go, and I'm not caring about the word count. I mean, yes, I do very much realize this is absolutely not a short story anymore, but it's not stopping me from writing it. And that's what's important with first drafts. You just keep on going until the story is finished. And once the story is finished, you can revise it, you can add world building, you can work more on your characters, you can at revision end, you can start tightening the story, tightening the text to make it easier to read, things like that. So that's all for the future, but that first draft is get it all out, and don't pay attention to word count, don't pay attention to how many chapters it should be. That's not important at that stage. Hey Devin, thank you for I want to say thank you for welcoming. I didn't mean that. Welcome in, and thank you for joining us. We're talking about lots of things. Dino is hi to Devin. And Devin, because you can't edit a blank page. Exactly. And that is one of the things that is so important for your first draft and for the revisions after that. Because like Devin said, you can't edit a blank page. You can add to your story, and you can get things out if it's too much. But it has to be written first, and only then can you do the revisions, and can you work on it? Can you make it stronger? Can you make your characters more convincing and make your world building more convincing? You can't do that if you haven't written that first draft. And don't let any author tell you that the first draft, that the book they have published that's selling, I don't know, tens of thousands of copies is their first draft. No, it doesn't work like that. Even the genius doesn't work like that. How shall I say that? When you've written your first draft and you read through it, then you will see things that you need to do differently. So don't let everyone tell you that. Tish, you say that's so true, Devin. Yes, Dida, got room for a tip? Always, always. I mean, just just butt in. I mean, I can keep talking, so that's Tish, like you can't even imagine. So I mean, any tips are welcome for all of us, and I think it's important to share our knowledge, to share our experience. Did I have any other questions that I wanted to ask you today? Oh yeah, this is an interesting one, I think. You guys can think about that while I look at Dida's tip, which is an excellent tip. After your first draft is finished, after first drafting, give your text a 6 week. That was not what I meant to say. Let's do that again. After first drafting, or in other words, completing your first draft, give your text a 6 weeks quarantine before you allow yourself to edit out any of it. I think that's an excellent tip from Dida, because it's you need to let it simmer. You may think that something shouldn't be there, but if you let it simmer for a while, like Dida says, for 6 weeks at least, you may find that in hindsight it still belongs there, and that you shouldn't delete it. And like Dida says, allowed to add, yes, but not take out anything. So get more into it. Dive deeper into it. Add that extra world building information. Add those character details. Add the dialogue that you're missing. Things like that. Add the scene that you're missing. But give it time to simmer more before you take out things. And Tish agrees on that. So my next question is, what is your definition of a success as an author? I like Dida's definition. Success is someone reads me in 100 years. Yes, it is. For me, success is when, with my author business, I can pay my bills, being my mortgage and all things like that, and just my food and drink and stuff. Maybe go on a holiday vacation once a year. Just have a little bit of extras. I mean, just to be able to live my life without having to work a part-time or full-time job for an employer. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I for me, especially right now, but yeah, for me that would already be success. Of course, everything that goes beyond that is very welcome, and it would be awesome if I can reach that at some point. But being able to pay my bills, yeah, that would most certainly right now be my definition of success. Now, if I look further beyond right now, I mean, dream about it. Like Dida said, in 100 years, people still read my books. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I see it happening right now with Brandon Sanderson, for example, and Christopher Paolini. their books are right now, and Diana Gabaldon, Deborah Harkness, George R. R. Martin, their books are now turned into movies, television series, and they are still all alive. I mean, Tolkien's books are also transformed into movies and television series, etc. But he's already dead. And I mean, that's not talking down on him. I mean, he reached a nice age, a good age, and but I mean, he's dead, and if I can choose, if that looking further into the future, yeah, that would be awesome to see my world, Tergaenae, to see it in live action, preferably in TV series, because I can't imagine it being in a movie. But yeah, to see it and to really see that come to life in a completely different way than in my books and in the artwork, for example, that Andy has made for me. That would be a total dream of me. So yeah, that's I mean, that would be the next line in success. And yeah, so that's most definitely also a definition of my success, or success for me, let me put it that way. And didn't you say totally live from it is the serious reply? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many people can really live from their artwork? So many indie authors have a daytime job, be it part-time or full-time. They have a daytime job or nighttime, depending on what your job is. And they write besides that job. That's what I did also before I got sick. I worked as an interior cleaner, and before that I have had other jobs. So there aren't that many people who can really completely live from their author business, especially not if you are limiting it to only your books, unless you're rapid releasing, rapid writing, dozens, hundreds of books per year. I'm not gonna say what I wanted to say about that. But you might make a lot of money of that. But most indie authors, most authors, period, need a job besides their job as an author. Because simply otherwise they can't make ends meet. And after all, we all want to live. So yeah, that's it. Devin, you say it's so important to define your idea of success. For you, you can't wait to see some fan-made art of your characters. That is your dream. Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, having fans who do that for you, that would be great. Yeah, I agree. Andida says that's nice. Yeah, I mean, there are just different levels of success. Like I said earlier, paying my bills, being able to live just from my author business right now in my current situation. Yeah, that would be awesome. That other picture that I sketched, that's really, I mean, I would consider that almost utopian. That would be really a dream come true. But there are lines or milestones in between. Indeed, having fans and your fans making fan art of characters or creatures in your books, that would be amazing. I mean, yeah, awesome. Period. Yep. Let's see. I have another question for you guys. There we go. And let's put that in here. Do you practice any other art besides writing? And does that art ever tie into your writing, or is it entirely separate? No, not really. Well, yeah, no, I don't have any art. I mean, I like to read. I've dabbled in some game design. By the way, don't get me wrong. Game design is really art, no matter how you look at it. There are so many things involved in creating a game, and it starts with the game concept, and that is also a form of art in my humble opinion. But I mean, art like sculpture or whatever, things like that. No, I don't have that. Writing is my art and is basically my full-time art. Did you say yes and no? You use that fantasy map site and the coat of arms thingy. You use those? Yeah. And Devon says, character-themed wax melts will be coming to your author shop this year. You did design some of your own stickers too. Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Do I have a link to your site? You know what? I'm gonna do that differently. Let me grab this. Yes. And let's do that. Okay. I think with this you should be able to put in your own channel. So please feel free to do that. Put in your own channel and your shop so that we all can see that now and in the future. And Tish, drawing, painting, and crocheting. Crocheting. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, drawing, that is something I have tried it, and I think I lack the talent for that. Well, that is to say, I lack the talent for drawing creatures, plants, things like that. But I am working on map making, and I have sketches of my maps, specifically for Dragon City and the White City and the Silk and Bamboo Archipelago. And I'm working on that to get it into a digital format. So that's different. So there's a little bit of drawing in it. That's awesome, Tish. Drawing, painting, and crocheting. This is cool, yeah. And Devin, you designed 2 of your fantasy countries' flags. Awesome. And Dida says both. Excellent. And Tish, you're a sticker hoarder. Well, then I guess you have to check out Devin's site and shop real soon. And Devin said you used to design logos for local Etsy sellers when the hubs was active duty in the Navy. Wow. You have the power! Exactly. So go visit Devin's site and see what you can find in her shop that you would like to have. Hey Laura, thank you for dropping in. How have you been doing? Oh, you're on your lunch break at work. Awesome. Well, I hope you're having a great day at work. Um, it has been a challenging day for me. Let's keep it at that. And Evan, you say there are no stickers up there yet. You're waiting for your next book to release first. Excellent. But you have your current book, the book that you released just a little while ago, right? That is on your shop, right? Laura, you say you work Friday to Monday. Oh, so this is your first day back for your week. Okay. Oh, that's different. That's I've been wondering about that. How do you do that with meeting with family and friends if you work in the weekend? Because many people are free in the weekend. How do you do that? How do you deal with that? And Devin, you said you're ordering totes in a couple of months. Interesting. Are you also the one who was looking into planners and who shouldn't do that? Did I remember that correctly? And oh yeah, the book is there. Excellent, excellent. So go check out Devin's book on her site. She has just released it a few weeks ago, if I'm correct. And Laurie said, you work at the retirement home in the dementia building. Okay. Your friends are online and many of them don't have a day job. It all works out. Ah, that is handy indeed. And Devin, you're the planner person. Okay, I remember that correctly. Okay, so if we hear tidbits that you're talking about diving into planners, then we might need to grab you out of that rabbit hole or just leave you there. I mean, we can go in there with you and you can explain things to us. So, I mean, just let us know what you prefer. And Evan says, yeah, that's so hard, Laura. Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky my my parents don't have dementia. And it goes well with them, and my ex-mother-in-law is the same. They have reached a certain age of which you think, okay, you know, I need to start paying more attention to what they do and how they do things, because I mean, with age comes a certain fragility, let me put it that way. And even though your parents really want to act as if everything is the same as 20 or 30 years ago, it isn't. And we can see that. And yeah, sometimes they just need extra help. And I'm lucky that my parents still have each other, so they can support each other. And my ex and I support my ex-mother-in-law. So yeah, that goes well. Laura, you love bullet journaling. Bullet journaling, that's your jam. Stickers and washi tape and Polaroid photos and all the things. Interesting. I've never done bullet journaling. I've never done journaling, period. I had a diary when I was a teenager. Well, I had multiple diaries. I filled them quickly. But journaling is not really a thing I did. And Tish, you are a TN person, you say to Laura. What is a TN person? I'm curious. I know that you journal as well, and I know that you have videos about journals and things like that on your website, on your YouTube channel. But what is TN in this regard? And Laura, you say, today was a great morning. You took 10 residents on a beach walk with the help of 4 stragglers. Excellent, excellent. And you found some shells for them to hold on and touch. Oh, that's so good. Shells they have that texture. And each shell has their own, and they can easily bring back memories, but they also have a certain smell. And that's something that you can't easily replicate. Especially when you have shells that are really on the beach, not those clean shells that you buy in a garden center or something like that. No, really, the shells that are on the beach, they have that sea smell, and I like that. Did you say the TN are Travelers Company notebooks? Oh, okay. And you love doing your bullet journaling and junk journaling in your Traveler Company's notebooks. Okay. And Devin, you gotta get some dinner started. See you all later. And don't forget the AuthorTube Writing Conference. The announcement is on your channel at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for Europeans, that is in about 2 hours. So go check out Devin's channel for that. For me, it will be too late. So I will watch it on replay because 11 p.m. That's too much. Or too much. Too late, I mean. So yeah. Tissue applause for Laura. That is so awesome. Yeah, it's such an amazing job she does. And Laura, I can imagine it can also be very rewarding. And does it also potentially sometimes give you inspiration for when you are writing from what you hear those people tell you? And it does, how nice, yeah. Laura, you mostly use Notebook Therapy or Archer and Olive. You used to use Maisie Lane Co., but they went out of business. Okay. And Tissue Daughter Swear by Archer and Olive. Beautiful notebooks. That's so great. I love it that we can share that information as well. Okay. I have one more question for you. Where are you? And that is this one. You guys can think about that while I answer or look at Laura's post. I'm closing the wrong one again. That's not handy when I do that. Could you ever quit writing? Do you ever wish you could? Why or why not? Laura, you said you had to stop one of the ladies from eating the shells. Okay. But quite a few of the residents are so sweet. Ah, that's excellent. I wonder what that lady was thinking that she could eat the shells. I mean, these shells, of course, used to have some creatures in them, and not all are actually edible, but some are. Maybe she remembered something of that. I mean, it's interesting. And Laura, you say you love most of the residents. There are a few verbally and physically abusive ones that make this job so draining and demanding. I can imagine that. I mean, when they start, I can imagine the hardest part is when they start losing their memory, when the dementia sets in. Because in that period, they know that dementia has set in, and they have their strong moments where they know everything and remember everything. But they also have their moments that they simply just don't know anything anymore. And then they gradually move into that phase where the dementia has fully set in. And depending on who they were in the past, they can really turn back to that person. Or so I understand. Let me put it that way. I don't have any experience with that, but that is what I have, what friends of mine have explained to me. And I mean, it all depends on how people are or were in the past. And Tisha say, writing brings you joy and gives you a new purpose, especially after retirement. You don't ever wish you could stop writing and you would never quit writing. Yeah, that I feel the same. I mean, even if I were to become blind, I don't know. I mean, for authors that can be a serious thing. I mean, we can't see what we're writing anymore. But nowadays, we have so many options to overcome that obstacle. We have text-to-speech programs, so that it can be written down, or it can be transformed into text on paper. I didn't mean text-to-speech. I meant speech-to-text, so that transcribes. So you can just keep on talking and it will be put in your word processor, for example. In the past, I've worked with Dragon Naturally Speaking. That's years ago that I worked with that. It's for fantasy writers, it's not the easiest thing because you have so many words that are not part of a, let's say, standard dictionary. So for such programs, it's not always easy to transcribe it. So those programs need to learn that. But there are ways to overcome that. So that's not really an issue. And if I look at the practicals or practical side, no, not practical. If I look at how my writing process works, my worlds, my characters, they keep on nagging. I mean, of course, there are moments, there are times, there are days when they take a step more to the background because they realize that my mind or my mood is really not into it, or that I'm just way too tired. But in the end, they keep coming back. And I can't imagine having those characters, that world, those worlds. I mean, Tergaenae is just one of the worlds I discovered and further created. I can't imagine having that, seeing these things, and not write. That's just no. That's I can't imagine that. So would I do it? No. Would I ever wish I could quit writing? Hell no. that's not in my vocabulary. Vocabulary. Dida, for you the answer is very quick. Nope. Laura, you say you do not wish to quit writing. It's how you found your communities and friends. It's a great creative outlet, and you just wish your family was more open to the genres you write in. That's an interesting one. I mean, I've met so many people through writing, and I love it. I write fantasy, and in my family, there are not that many people who read fantasy. My parents don't read fantasy. My brother hardly reads fantasy, if at all. I think I have one aunt and one uncle who read fantasy, and that's about it. But yeah, I have several friends that do read fantasy, so that's a good thing, and I love it. But yeah, I can imagine your feeling, Laura. And you say a lot of the ladies are very childlike. Some people just keep putting things in their mouth like a toddler. Oh, Right. Okay, yeah, that's a whole different issue. Yeah. And then they've reached that stage of dementia where things get harder for the caretakers. Okay, yeah. They eat the flower arrangements on the dining tables if you're not careful, and all the flowers you bring in are safe to eat just in case. That's a good choice. That's excellent. And you write horror and erotic romance. Your mom is scared you're going to get possessed and has told you so. Oh, okay. And anything sexual is taboo, so those are a no-go as well. Yeah, that's hard. Okay, I can understand that. Yeah. It's, how shall I say that? I mean, you have something that not something, yeah, something, a story that lives inside of you, and you want to share that with your loved ones, with friends, with the world. But this, I can totally imagine that this makes it quite hard to share it with your loved ones. If they have that point of view. Okay, murder mystery is totally cool though, or middle grade horror. Okay. Well, yeah, that's an option as well. Okay. That's surprising. Yeah, I mean, it's, how shall I say that? Sometimes people can be weird about it. And you say, she's read your middle grade horror that died in the quarry trenches. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Have you considered, is it the story true to your heart, and have you considered self-publishing despite the fact that it died in the quarry trenches? Or is it a project of which you think, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put it on the back burner, and I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the drawer, and I'm moving on. I mean, that last thing is not something I could do with any of my Tergaenae books. Not that I have published any of them yet, or that I am in the query trenches for those, because I'm still writing them. And I've also decided that I'm going to self-publish them. Because that way I can keep full control of them, and as much as possible anyways. And that way I also know they will be published, because I want to publish them one way or another. I want to have them published one way or another, either through the traditional route or through self-publishing. And at some point I decided, you know what, I'm not even going to try traditional. I just make the decision for myself. I want that control, and I want that control over quite some things in my books. So I'm just going to self-publish it, period. And I'm not even going to think about traditional publishing anymore with my Tergaenae books. Because they are too important for me not to be published. So yeah, that's what I'll do. And Laura, you say you're going to keep it as a backlist story for once you break into the adult fiction, and you'll tell your agent once you get one, and we'll see what she says to fix it up and submit it later. That's actually a very, very wise move. And you self-published your collection of short stuff, which was fun, and you may publish your poetry collection. That's excellent. That's great to hear. I'm personally not into poetry. That's that's not something I have enjoyed in the past, reading it. And I just can't write it. It's simple as that. Well, I mean, I would have to really dive into it, and then maybe I could write it, but I probably wouldn't be satisfied with it. So it's something I will hold off. And did you say going indie for sure? Threadpub isn't really an option, even if things go well. Yeah, I mean, a few months ago, I was at a book fair here in the Netherlands, and there were a lot of indie publishers, indie authors, and surprisingly to me, there were also 2 publishers, not big ones, but they were small publishers, who accepted English manuscripts. Now, what you need to know about the Dutch publishing world, and I think it is similar to many other European countries, we can submit our manuscripts directly to publishers here in the Netherlands. But for a very long time, you could only submit manuscripts written in Dutch. Or they would get the language rights, the translation rights, whatever you want to call it, and then they are of English books or books from other countries, from other languages, and then they would publish those books in Dutch. But if you came as an author, then you would have to have a manuscript written in Dutch. So if you have a manuscript written in English, you would have to translate it into Dutch, and then you could submit that to publishers here in the Netherlands. And now there are, if I'm correct, 2 publishers, there may be more, but at least 2 that I know of, who will accept English manuscripts written by Dutch authors, and they will publish the books in English. So that's a change. But at the same time, then you will have to go through their hoops, and I don't want that anymore. I mean, I've never experienced it, but in the past, I've thought about that until I dove deeper into self-publishing. And with everything that's going on in the publishing world right now, I decided at some point, okay, you know what? I don't care. In a way, I don't care about those big publishers anymore. I'm just going to do it myself. Gilbert, you say, in response to the quitting writing question, you needed to take a shower, so you weren't there. No problem at all. You effectively did quit for some years, not because you wanted to, but because your brain was hitting the wall constantly and you couldn't cook up any idea you were happy with. That's a hard problem indeed. I mean, I have had a writer's block for 2 years, because about 2 years, doesn't matter, because I couldn't answer the question. I couldn't answer a certain question for a character because I couldn't answer that specific question for myself. And I needed to be able to answer that question for myself first, and from there work out what it would mean for my characters. For that one specific character, and it had a lot to do with what happened in the past when I was a child. I was bullied badly, and I had a specific question that I needed to answer. So in the end, I went to a psychologist. Sorry, there's something itching just right here under my how do you call that? These hairs here on that line. At the moment, I can't think of the name. Anyways, there's something itching here. Anyways, I needed to answer that question for myself, and I went to a psychologist, and she helped me get through a few things, and then I was able to answer that question. It took me all in all about 2 years, maybe 3. I don't quite exactly remember. I think it was 2 years. But in that time that I couldn't answer that question for that character, and I was stuck at the story because I had a vision of how I wanted the Tergaenae Chronicles to end, and then I was hit with that question that I couldn't answer, and I was like, okay, but if I can't answer that question for the end, how am I going to get to the end from where I am right now in the story? So I was stuck on that. And even though I was stuck on that, I did work on the world building and on other stuff, and that is essentially how the complete reworking of the concept of Tergaenae Chronicles came to be, because I I wanted to write a background story of 2 characters, of which at that moment I was thinking they're more background characters, but I need to know it because the main characters need to do something for these background characters. And I started to write that their story of those 2 characters that were supposed to be background characters. And I was 70 to 70 keywords in that background story when I realized this is not a background story anymore. And I remember I talked about it with Dida, and at some point I said, this is actually the beginning of the Tergaenae Chronicles, and this gives the story such a better foundation. And it's going to work so much better, and there's so much more into the story caused by that, by writing that background story. And now that background story has a prequel in Go Fly. So yeah, that's that's fun how things can go sometimes. Did you say poetry is hard? It's a tough genre. Yeah, exactly. You haven't really spread around your stuff to your family because they'd probably want it in your mother tongue and you write it in English. Yeah, my parents are currently learning English because my brother has an English girlfriend. The rest of my family, some speak relatively well English. Speak English relatively well, others maybe a bit less. But I think they would prefer to read the story in Dutch as well. I chose to write my story in English because Dutch felt, in a way, inadequate for the fantasy story I was writing. I felt that I would need a whole sentence to where I would just need 1 word or 2 words in English. So yeah, that's why I write in English. Laura, it's time for you to clock back into for work. See you later. Thank you so much for joining, and I love to hear from you. So hopefully I will see you again in the future. And Dida, you say good working for Laura, exactly. And Dida, there's a brand new publisher here in Norway who is focusing on fantasy when they realized there were about 20 novels published in 25 years here, and still wouldn't want to give them my scripts. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you need to feel, at least that's how I feel about it. Let me put it that way. You need to feel comfortable with the publisher you are going with. And second, you need to feel comfortable with the publishing process going through the traditional route. It's not an easy process. when you think your book is done, others may think that it needs to be rewritten for half of it. Or they might want to change names of your characters. They might want to completely change a character. I mean, I've heard from someone who had sent her book to various agents, and one agent wanted to turn her strong female character into a damsel in distress. Yeah, well, it doesn't work like that. That would just set the whole story, just put it on its top, and that's not good. So you need to be able to work with people you can trust, and going through the traditional publishing route, it takes time. It takes, from what I understand, don't pin me on it, but it can take a lot of more time than when you self-publish. Sure, when you self-publish, you also need to do all the work yourself. I mean, you need to find editors if you can't do that yourself. I mean, let's be fair, I am a Dutch woman. I am writing in English, and English is not my native language, because Dutch is my native language. So at some point before I publish my books, I will need to have someone look into it, look over it, and edit it properly for UK English, because I write in UK English. So I need someone to do that for me, because I can't do that. I mean, I can get lots of it out, lots of the mistakes out of it by turning spelling grammar in Scrivener on, and later go through Word and do the same there, and get the last mistakes that I can find through that out of the story. But there will always be things that sentence structures that should be different, for example, and I won't catch that, because my way of speaking and writing, the way of speaking and writing in Dutch, is different from UK English, and it is different from French and from all the other languages. So I need an editor for that. I know that. I need a book cover editor, a book cover designer, because I shouldn't do that. That's not my forte. I need someone, I think, who can format the inner of the book. More things like that. So you have to either do all these things yourself, or arrange for someone to do that for you and pay them for it. But it can be done in a relatively short time. If you go through the traditional publishing route, first, either you go through the UK, USA traditional publishing route, so you have to pitch to agents, you have to find an agent who will work with you, then you have to go through their process of making your book better, then they will pitch it to the publishers. The publishers will also want to go through the book to make your book better, and then they will have to go through the higher ups in the company, and then at some point, your book will be published. That, from what I understand, can take a year or 2 or 3 before your book is in the stores. And that's not where it stops. You also will have to do some marketing. Of course, if you go through the publishing route, through the traditional publishing route, the publishers will have a marketing budget. But the budget will vary on what they expect your book will draw in for an audience. And so how many people they will need to reach. And that can make a difference. And the more you can do yourself for marketing, the better it is in essence. Well, that's something you have to do as an indie author, period, because no one else will do it for you. Unless you hire people, but in essence, you're responsible for that. So, yes, there are a lot of things in self-publishing that you need to do besides writing your book. That usually things that are usually done by your agent and the company, the agency, and the publishers, and you might not have to do it, but it takes more time to publish your book. At least from what I understand, let me put it that way. Like I said, I have no hands-on experience in that, so it is from what I understand from the stories I've read, the stories I hear from authors who have been who have had their books published through traditional publishing. There's a choice you have to make, and you have to make that per book, per series. I also know of authors who have self-published books and have published books through the traditional route. So all options are open. So you don't need to be limited by that. But what is the most important thing is that you need to feel comfortable with all the parties in the process that you have chosen before you move on to the next step in the process. That was a very long way to talk about that. My apologies. And Gilbert, you say, if you get this project completed and in a publishable state, you will not be publishing through a company. You will not suffer them to take liberties with your story. Yeah. I mean, what we hear now, especially also with all the AI things, several companies have taken a stance against their books, several publishers, I should say, have taken a stance against their books being used in large language models or generative AI programs. There are some publishers who actually do let their books be used for those generative AI models. I've heard about some companies. And very recently, Harlequin France, which is part of I don't remember the publisher right now, the big American publisher. But anyway, Harlequin France has now decided to let the books from that are written in other languages be translated by AI. They have told their translators that their current projects are the last projects they are going to work on, and after that the contract stops and they get no more books, and they're going to do that all by AI. I mean, that's a choice they're making. They're essentially basically firing all those translators. I mean, I don't know how many translators they have had working for them, but I mean, that's quite a choice they're making. And would I want my story to be to go through the mangles of that AI to be translated? I'm like, I don't think I want that, because AI is missing some things that only human translators can understand. The human translator can understand the voice. They might need a few more words for what you've written in English. They might need a few more words in French or in Italian or in Dutch, in my own language. but they understand the significance of what you write, and they understand the finesse of choosing the right word and choosing the right intention, and AI can't do that. So let me just say, Harlequin France made a choice. That's it. W say, have I mentioned I absolutely hate AI? You're so tired of it. Yeah, here. I mean, it is one of the reasons I seriously am considering for in the future, when I get my books to publishable state, is to not publish my books on Amazon. Because, and I mean, I don't know at this moment, I don't know how the other publishers will deal with it in the future, but Amazon will accept your book, simple as that. But to bring it into Kindle Unlimited, there is a process, and they will now pretty much automatically translate or put your book into Audible with AI, unless you opt out of it. There are publishers, like I said, who will go through, who will put their books into those AI things. Yeah, no, generative AI is so not my thing. And I mean, yes, grammar, spelling, that's also AI. That's also artificial intelligence. Let's not fool ourselves that we can live without artificial intelligence and still live the life that we have right here, right now. I'm making the difference between artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, we use that. I used that 25 years ago, I think. Back when I was a traffic engineer, and we made traffic models. And I actively programmed traffic lights. That program, in essence, is artificial intelligence. You tell the program, you write the program, and depending on the amount of cars that run up to the traffic lights go on green, etc., etc. I'm not diving into the whole technical process. That's a bit too much for this. So that, in essence, is artificial intelligence. Your maps, Google Maps, looking for the best way to travel, that is artificial intelligence. Your phone basically runs on artificial intelligence. Your computer runs on artificial intelligence. If you play games, I mean, you can't play a digital game, I should say. You can't play a digital game without artificial intelligence, because that's how it works. But there's a big difference between artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence. And for me, I draw the line there. Artificial intelligence, yes. I mean, that's a normal part of our lives. Generative AI is a whole different ballgame, and I do not want my stories, my world, my characters to be part of that. I refuse that. And the best way that I can prevent that from being, that I can prevent my stories, my characters, my art to be used by generative AI is to have it in my own hands, to have the full control over it. At least as far as possible. Did you say you've been using AI for some stuff the last half year, and honestly, it's dumb? You'd say it's like a person of IQ 80 and can't stick to the rules. It needs reminders every beep thread. Okay. Excellent. Gilby, so tell us about how you created traffic managers, kind of. Well, luckily I didn't create it myself. Someone else did that. But essentially, okay, let me give you a very short version of how those traffic models work. The program is built to interpret data that counties put in it, and the data is this many houses are built, this many flats, this many offices, this many factories. Okay, so factories, not fabrics, factories. And the expectation is that a house in 2050 will need, or this many people will live in it, will live in that district, and people will use an X amount of cars and an X amount of bikes, and that we put that into the model, and if we've done everything correct, that's what we used to say, garbage in is garbage out. So if everything is correct and you put that into the traffic model will give you the amount of cars and bicycles, etc., that are being used in 2050, if your model is for 2050. And it will show you how many cars there are at a given time of day on that certain road. To be able to do that, you need artificial intelligence, because otherwise you can't do that. It's simple as that. We at the county had that information. We knew how many houses there were going to be. We knew about remodeling in the city, etc. Old offices that were taken down, new apartments that were being built, new houses that were being built, etc., etc. So it was our own information, and we put that into the model. Now, if that information is being, you have a few stages where things can go wrong. First, the program itself is not built correctly, and that's as in really the coding is not built correctly. Second, the road system for your town is not built correctly into the model. That can be very, very tricky. I mean, if you define a certain road to be for an existing road to be for cars, while it is a bike lane, and you expect 10,000 cars to go over that bike lane, you have a very serious problem. So that's the second part where it can go wrong. The third part where it can go wrong is not having the correct data, as in the projections of the growth of your population, the houses you put into, etc., the offices, and more things like that, the demographics, etc. You put that information, so that's the next part where it can go wrong. So there are several parts when models like that can go wrong, and that's just talking about traffic models. That's not generative AI as in art, or art as in images, or art as in videos, or art as in what we do, writing or music. Those are other kinds of AI. That's generative AI. And in essence, you sort of can't go wrong there because it just produces something. In traffic models, we compare it to the current situation. So the model is being made both for the current situation and for the future situation, because we want to know that the model is correct. So you start at the baseline, which is, for example, today we have that amount of cars, that amount of bikes, that amount of pedestrians, etc., houses, offices, factories, distribution centra, shops, movie theaters, you name it, we put it in the model. And that produces traffic, a certain amount of traffic, divided over several categories. And you can check that with what you find on the street. There are special counters for that to get that data. So you can check that in the model. So that way you know that the base of the model is correct. And and then you can see how things are for the future. Of course, that it is. I mean, things can go wrong. If the government decides to, in let's say you've made a model for 2050, it is now 2026, and you have made a model for 2050, and in 2030, the government decides to tear down a whole district, a whole housing block, and they're putting in, let's say they are tearing down a whole district with houses, and they're putting in flats, apartments. That changes everything in your model because it causes a very different traffic load. But that's changes in the future, and if those changes weren't known when you made the model itself can still be correct, while in 10 years' time it may not be correct anymore because the government decided otherwise to do other things. Why do I say that generative AI in essence doesn't present wrong results? It depends on the eye of the beholder. I mean, let's say a year or 2 years ago, art was being produced and people had 7 fingers. And I mean, that's obviously wrong. And there were more things that were really, really wrong. But when you look at the art that is produced now, the result, I mean, not what goes on in the back, the result is getting better and better. So that's from the result speaking, that's not wrong anymore per se. If you look at the backside, there are loads of things wrong. I mean, it all starts with stolen data and the impact on the environment. I mean, here in the Netherlands, they have actively blocked the building of large data centers. There is now one place where a large data center is built, and I don't remember which company, but Meta was involved in other data centers, and Google, I think, also, and then other things. But there's a data center is going to be built that needs more energy, and I think if I remember the information correct, it needs I think 4 to 5 times more energy than the village where it is being built, than the town where it is being built. I mean, how can you even justify that? And it's not from what I understand, it's more in the category of Gen AI and things like that. Gen AI, the generation of one final image costs loads and loads of water to eventually finally get that one image. So the impact on the environment is huge. And water, as in energy companies need that to cool down installations, etc. I mean, you can think of all ways that water can be used in data centers and to cool down things. It's horrible, and the impact will only get worse with every year that passes. So that's only one of the big downsides of generative AI. So that for me, that is one of the reasons, especially because also Amazon is using AI and essentially is cutting out translators, is cutting out oh god, what are people called who voice actors? That's what I was looking for. Amazon is cutting out the voice actors who would normally read your book and speak your book to go into Audible. They're cutting them out. So it's also costing jobs. Why do we want that? Because it's cheaper? And that's the whole issue. Yes, it's cheaper, and that's why a lot of people want that. I mean, let me say, I can understand that side of the story, but it doesn't mean that I approve of it. So yeah, I don't know. That's my soapbox for today. Did you say AI is a tool, that's all? It's a machine program with no brain, and it's taught to sweet talk Gen Z into thinking it is clever. Exactly. And one of the dangers of AI, and Gen Z doesn't want to see it, doesn't realize, doesn't know. I don't know that. But the danger of AI is that it can spew so many nonsense and so many really dangerous things. I mean, it has advised children in a very bad way. I mean, how can such a program still be allowed? It has caused... No, it hasn't caused. Because a lawyer in the United States decided to use any of those languages. I think it was ChatGPT, I don't remember. He used AI in a case that was going to court, and he came up with nonsense, really utter nonsense, and the judge in that case disbarred him right there and then, from what I heard, because it weren't even real cases he used to use in his case. It wasn't even real data, and I mean, how? And people accept it, and that's. And did you say it can be dangerous? Yes, and it still plays moral police whenever it can. Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. The advice that comes out of it can be so dangerous. I mean, it will regurgitate advice like use bleach so that you get rid of post-COVID, and that you get rid of COVID, and As in bleach, not cleaning your counters and your fridge and door handles. No, bleach as in drinking it. I mean, I know someone who is quite famous by this point who has actually advised that. And ChatGPT and similar programs come with that advice. It is dangerous advice. And those programs come with it. They give that as a result, as a serious advice. And I'm like, what? Why? And sure, you need to have real people checking that information that is being put into those models. But I mean, I just can't understand that. If we can pull that out of such a model, then they can do that as well. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard to filter it out. But that's just me. Did you say journalists and news people have lost their jobs over not double-checking AI results as well? Exactly. And that's... If you... you have to be careful. I know that authors and other people like to use AI for research to get more information. You can direct AI in a certain way. You can also, if you know how to do it, you can also direct Google in the same way. So there's not a real difference. But Google will also, and similar search engines, don't get me wrong, there are lots of search engines that basically work the same way. They track what you read, and in the end it will give you what they think you are looking for. But the thing with AI is it doesn't fact check. It just search everything and it will just regurgitate and tell you, okay, this is it. Here you go. At Google, you have the option to report things that are wrong. I don't know if large language models have things like that. I honestly don't know because I simply haven't tried it. But the result that I mean, I can imagine that as a search engine, because there is so much information, as a search engine stack, AI can help you. I mean, Google search and other search engines are AI. I mean, let's face it, they are AI. And I can imagine that programs like ChatGPT can help further narrow down the search results and give you what you are looking for. But if you don't check what comes out of it, then you could have utter garbage. And it keeps those language models keep scouring the internet and keep scraping sites, etc., for information. And that also means that information which is obviously wrong and obviously dangerous is also included in those results and can also be presented to the searcher. And things that are utterly fake. I mean, for example, Let's say the video that was posted on Truth Social of the Obamas. It has been taken down, I know that. But say, for example, I mean, I really hope not, because I really admire the Obamas. But say for example, that video has somehow made its way into those models. And, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years from now, because if they want it, they can go on and on and on, that video surfaces. And aspects of that are used and are accepted as being normal. What would the impact be of that? And also, what the Gen Z generation at this moment doesn't realize is that AI is very capable of producing fake things. They are very capable, these models are very capable of putting your face on someone else's body and make it pretty convincing, but people are hurt by that. Teenagers are hurt, are bullied because of it while they have done nothing. That's another thing, and it worries me. But I mean, there's only so much we can do. Did you say you use AI to fetch you research data, since in some cases you can knock together several questions to one and it has to provide you evidence of real places they find the data? Okay, that's good. And people have to check the facts, and people are still responsible for checking them. Exactly. It's a super Googler, and one needs to know how to use that one. I do wonder, and that's an honest question, because I haven't tried it myself. Is it so much stronger than the Google search engine? If you were to direct the Google search engine, any search engine, the same way as you direct ChatGPT, for example, wouldn't you get the same results? It's an honest question. I just don't know. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Did you say people have to? Oh, I just read that. Huh? People have to check facts, and people are still responsible for checking them. Exactly. It's a super Googler, and one needs to know how to use that one too. You did check something missing things, and you got a bunch of people's blogs that were full of lies, and yet the AI took them as facts. Exactly, and that's the danger of it. According to my heritage, your grandfather is not your grandfather as well, just because one dork has written someone else. Interesting. That's also one of those things that can be yeah, it can be dangerous. For example, what's now going on in the USA. And also, let me take it back here to the Netherlands. That's easier. We have asylum seekers. They come from all over the world. They want to become a Dutch citizen, so they have to go through a whole process, and they want the Dutch nationality. If let me think that I phrase this correctly. If certain information would be put into those programs, and it would be regurgitated. And that information would implicate someone in illegal things. While the information is absolutely utter nonsense and far from correct, absolutely not correct, it could cost someone their chance of becoming a Dutch citizen, of getting the Dutch nationality. There are also, we also now hear that the police want to start using AI to fill in their reports because they are short on people. We know that AI can reproduce, can regurgitate utter nonsense. And they want things like ChatGPT and other stuff to write their report for them. And those reports have to be able, we have to be able to use those reports in cases. Make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense to me anymore. And that's where things can go really wrong. I mean, there are many cases worldwide where people are convicted wrongly, at the wrong base, and years after they are set free. I'm at a loss for the correct word. They are set free because it is found that they are not guilty at all, that someone else is the perpetrator. Imagine that AI is doing something with that. I can only imagine the horror that things can go wrong 10 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger. So, yeah, I don't, honestly, I don't know. I don't know where things are going with this, and I don't know how it will look in, I mean, none of us know how it will look in 10 years, but is this gonna burst? Or is it really gonna take over? And I don't know. I just don't know. Did you say it is stronger at answering complex questions? Yes. The large language models, the question I asked before, is it stronger than Google? Can you get the same results out of Google? Okay, so it is stronger at answering complex questions. Okay. And you say it's about creating false reality, just like in Orwell's 1984. Exactly. You say, make it make sense, but I don't wanna. Yeah, that's the problem. Dita, back-checking those police reports for errors will take more manpower than the actual writing. That's a red flag case. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. I mean, not for me. God, the date is forbid, but I mean, I hope I never get into any situation that would require a police report or worse. But yeah, I can see that happening indeed. That in the end, it's gonna take more manpower, and it's gonna cause more harm to so many people, and that's bad. That's bad. So yeah, that's. I think I'm gonna end my soapbox about AI here because we can talk about it until the cows. I don't know. Until the cows come home or something. What's that saying? I don't remember. But yeah. I mean, let's just stick to writing and write the best we can, and especially get our voice, get our own voice, our own experiences, our own feelings into our story, because that is what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to make our story stand out from all the AI garbage. Because sorry, I need to drink something. Last year, I think it was last year, the top 10 of Amazon books was mostly AI garbage. And yes, I am aware. There is an author, at the moment I don't remember his name. He did a test. He's quite a famous author, I should say. He did a test with a group of other authors. And of not only authors, with a large group. He had text written by AI and text written by authors. And he asked the group, okay, tell me which is written by AI and which is written by authors. And the group had a very tough time correctly distinguishing the AI from the author. So Gen AI is starting to get better. But at this moment, Gen AI is still not, from what I understand from everyone who has worked with it and researched things and so forth, Gen AI is still not capable of producing texts that are consistent and have the same voice and the same information, etc., in a large text. I mean, not looking at scientific text, not looking at scientific validity, just looking at books we write, fantasy, fiction in any way. But that AI result is being put on Amazon. But what we experience, how we experience things, how we feel things, that is what's going to make the difference. I guess it's going to be a hay fever time because my eyes are really itching. Anyways, that's where we are going to make the difference. So it is so important to have that in your story. We are told as authors that we need to find our voice. And people have asked me, well, how do I find that? What is your voice? Your voice is your experiences, your feelings, the way you write it. You don't want to write a story in the style of George R. R. Martin or Tolkien or name any other famous author who is currently part of that huge case. I at the moment I can't reproduce the name, but there's a huge case with I don't know how many authors. And people about the use of their books in Gen AI. I've heard people say, "Oh, but I want to write like George R. R. Martin, or I want to write like Tolkien." Why do you want to write like them? That is their voice, their experience, their feelings. It's not yours. What makes your book unique is your voice. It's what you have gone through. It's that vacation that you took in Italy and where you felt the warmth of the sun on your skin and you laid on the beach and you had that tiramisu under the eaves at a marketplace, things like that. that is something that generative AI cannot understand. That is your voice. What did it make you feel? How did you see things? When you come somewhere as a tourist, you will see things differently than when you have lived there in that same place for your whole life. Someone in Venice will pay more attention to the dirt, to the black stones, to the decay due to the water, things like that. While a tourist sees the canals, and those little boats, the gondolas, whatever they are called. They see the lake. That's what the tourists see, and that's a different experience. And that is what you bring into your story. That is your voice. You experience things in a different way. And it doesn't need to be a bad experience. I mean, it's often said that authors need to suffer for their story. That's utter nonsense. What you need is the feeling, it's the experience. And the experience can be both bad and good. You don't need bad experience. You need experience that tells you how you feel about something, how that blade of grass feels, how that leaf feels in the summer, in the spring, that leaf from an oak tree, how that feels in spring, how it feels in summer, and how it feels in the autumn. That's what you want to know. For example, I mean, these are just all examples. You want to know how seawater feels on your skin, and especially when you get out of the sea and your skin starts to dry up and you haven't taken a shower with plain water, sweet water. So the salt on your skin starts to dry up. That is a certain feeling that you get, and your skin may become very dry because the salt pulls the moisture out of your skin. Your hair will feel more brittle, for example. Although I have to say, every time I swam in salt water in the sea, my hair felt better afterwards. So I don't know why people keep saying that salt water hurts your hair. But okay. That's me. I mean, it's the same when people say that blood tastes like metal. That's not my experience. For me, it never tastes like metal. I mean, right now I have a metal water cooker, and when I cook water, that tastes like warm metal. Blood has never tasted like that for me, but that's my experience. And that's just one of the many things we, as authors, bring into our stories. The sound of the rain, the smell. Dida, please correct me if I'm wrong. The smell of the earth. I'm at a loss for the word. The smell of the wet earth after a rain shower. That is something that you as a human, or that any other creature that has a sense of smell, can smell. That is something that you can work into your story. The moment you start to smell the sea or the ocean while you're still quite a long way from it. So yeah. And that's what makes it your voice. And sorry, I've been talking miles a minute again. Did you say in the future we will be in demand because we will be the real deal? Exactly. Yes, that's the spirit. That's what I am hoping for. In short text, that's possible. Yeah, that's about the AI not being consistently in short text. AI can be very good, but in full novel format, it cannot produce consistently. Exactly. And how to find one's voice. Right, no shortcuts. It comes with experience. That. And I want to write like George R. R. Martin is about style studying, not about tone. Well, the people who have said that to me didn't talk about style. They were talking about the tone. They were talking about the things that he did. They wanted to reproduce as something like Game of Thrones, and I'm like, you can't reproduce that because you're not George R. R. Martin. Petrichor, that's what I was looking for, from Greek. Yes, exactly. And those are all things that influence you, that influence your experience, your smell, your sound, the taste, the feeling, and that's just the senses. What you can see, what you can hear, and I'm not talking about feelings as in emotional feelings. I'm talking about physical feelings. That's the senses. The sense that someone is looking at you, you're turned, they're at your back. They're standing, I don't know, 10 feet away, and you feel them looking at you, or you have a sense that someone somewhere is looking at you, or that someone somewhere is looking over you. For example, a good, benevolent entity, whatever you want to call it. That is your experience. That is something that you can describe, and you can fill in the nuances there. It's something that AI can never do. Also, and I will go into that in a future workshop video, or in a live stream. It depends what you guys would like to see. In my video about the flutter nymph that I need to re-record, I will tell you guys in a minute about that. I started the flutter nymph because of videos and photos I saw from a very tiny creature here on Earth. And I brought it into Tergaenae, into a very different circumstances. And I developed that creature, that concept design, and I found it, I could see it in Tergaenae. That is something AI can't do for you. And it's that creative leap. That is something that only people, only humans. At this moment, we only know humans. I mean, any other people we don't know. I mean, it may be different in 10 years, it may be different tomorrow, but at this moment, we only know human. We humans are capable of making that creative leap, of making that fantasy creature, of making that fantasy surrounding, the flying mountains, the Hallelujah Mountain. I think they are called the Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar, not Avatar Airbender, but Avatar from James Cameron. I think it's called the Hallelujah Mountains. Things like that. That is not something that AI can come up with. It can regurgitate it because it's in other media, but it's not an original thing that AI can come up with. That is what is inside of you, what is inside of your mind and in your heart, and that is what's so important. And that is what makes your story yours, uniquely yours. And it is something that no one else can do for you, because it is what you see and not what anyone else sees. And sure, you can have a similar style as George R. R. Martin does. You cannot write what he writes, because it is his story and not yours. And I don't mean like you're not allowed to write his story. It's like, what I mean is, he has a vision, and he has those characters that he found, that he described, that he created. And you don't know all the small nuances. He does. And that's the difference. You know that for your story. That's the big difference. Did you say AI can only know about human perception in theory, that's all, and it's very often stumbling in interpretations too. It may lie, meaning on the wrong thing entirely. Exactly. So that's a bit of my soapbox for tonight that I totally didn't expect. What I also didn't expect, and I hinted at that, is the tech gremlins are hunting me today. I probably just unticked something accidentally that I shouldn't have unticked, or didn't even know that I unticked. Well, I don't know that I unticked it, let me put it that way. I was having trouble with OBS before, and when moving things around and moving things from one monitor to another, things were a bit scrambled, and I think I unticked something there. So this morning, I had a wonderful recording with Andy, and we went over the design process of Riri and the Flutter Nymph, the Flutter Nymph species, and Riri the character. We went over lots of things, also how his design process works, and paleo art and other things. It was really interesting, and I had a really good time with Andy. I had tested things before, and everything worked. And as in before, I mean minutes before, and everything worked. We recorded for over an hour. We had a great time. And we said goodbye, and everything was alright. We made, I want to say agreements, but that's not what I meant. We made an appointment for checking the video later on. And then I was like, okay, I can do other things. And something inside me told me, you need to check that video. And I was like, okay, I know that everything is okay. So I checked the video. Andy's video, perfect. Perfect video, perfect sound, no problems. I checked my video. Perfect video, no sound. Completely empty track. And I was like, this 1 hour just down the drain. I need to redo this. And Andy and I talked about so many things that I can't say, I can't remember what I said. So it's not like I can record it, re-record it on my own, because that's not gonna work. So luckily Andy understood, and he was willing to do another recording. We're going to do that next week, Friday. I was really, yeah, that was my morning. And I mean, at that moment, you're really like, what just happened to me? I mean, it was so great until that moment. I was really like, you know what, I can do this, and I have the videos and I have the sound and everything is okay, and I can record the other stuff that I can record and that Andy doesn't need to be there for. So I can work on a video, and I can send it to Andy so that he can check things. I can do that during the week and during the weekend and later on during the week, and then he can give feedback and I can adjust and I can publish it not coming week but the week after. And then I check that video, that one video of mine, not his was perfect, but I checked my video and I was like, no, this is the worst thing that can happen. But yeah, Andy and I are going to re-record it, and then it will be perfect. So I'm going to use a different setup now. I have a setup for live streaming with OBS, and luckily I can do a completely different setup outside of the setup I have currently for my live streaming. So I can do a completely different setup for the interviews. So I've decided to do that so that hopefully OBS won't crash on me again, because this morning it crashed before we started recording, and it had already crashed 3 or 4 times on me, and yesterday as well. So that wasn't handy. So that's what I'm going to do. Just keep the whole installations completely separated from each other and re-record everything next week. And then after that, I can make the video. So yeah, that was my morning, and I really needed some time to wind down from that, because I mean, Andy and I have been talking for, I don't know, more than an hour just for recording the video, and afterwards we've talked about all kinds of things. So before I found that it was after lunchtime. So yeah, I really needed time to wind down from that. So I didn't do any writing anymore today. So yeah, it's sometimes things can go really, really wrong, even when you've tested it. So yeah. So Gilby, if you are still here, please talk to my system and say that it can't do that anymore and that it needs to work as of now. Because yeah. Did you say your internet decided to reboot? Hooray! Oh yes, that's always fun, but not. Yeah. Technique it's wonderful until it's not anymore. So yeah, incredible. But oh, holy wowzers! It's 10:30 p.m. already. Oh, okay, I didn't see that one coming. That explains a lot, I have to say. Okay. So I have no more questions for you at this moment. Do you have any questions for me at this moment? Gilbert, you say you will make sure to swivel at my system and intimidate it. I'll even call it fat until it cries. Yes! Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. It needs to hear that. And then I can work on things again, because yes. Oh, one thing I totally forgot to say that. And it's not of importance right now, but I thought it was a fun thing to share. I have decided to for every 10 euros in donations that will come in, I will plant a tree. And how am I going to do that? I found a charity Tree Nation. And through Tree Nation, you can have trees planted, and they do that to get people work, to help people with food supplies, but also to help with battling erosion and take care of a better environment, things like that. And there's a fun little thing, and now I need to get proper link. That's the wrong one. No, that's still the wrong one. Oh, it's the right one, but on a different monitor. Sometimes. Oh. So I have started the forest, as they call it. And let me show you guys. It's this. I need to look. Here we go. Yes, are you gonna send that? Thank you very much. And I have planted one seed. They have a very fun system with that. You can plant trees in the sense that you order that to be done. You can choose the project where it's going to be planted, and you can choose the tree out of the available trees that can be planted. And you can also play a game, as they say it, and it's the seed game. And you plant a new seed. And every day you get water, and other people get water as well. And you can water the tree. And each person can water the same tree only once per day. But it's a fun community thing, because the trees grow up, that seed grows up. And when that virtual seed has grown up, it's actually going to be used to plant a tree. And how does it work? Some people will offer trees, will donate trees to this game, so that people who don't have the money, they can plant that tree, have their community give water, and once that tree is grown, that tree will be actually planted in a forest. So I thought this was a fun thing to have in our community, so I started that, and you can find it in the link that I just posted. And because it's also because I feel, I mean, we are writing books, and we're not only do that digitally, which costs I mean, it costs our computers, everything we need for that. But when we have our books printed, it also costs trees. And with using Tree Nation, one, you plant trees, and two, you help. Like Dita says, let me. This is the link. It's in the chat, and I will. It's also in my not on Twitch yet, but on YouTube. It's also in my about page. And like Dita said, cool. You have planted trees in Africa through one program. That's really cool, and they made articles with photos and stuff. Yeah, well, that sounds very similar to the Tree Nation. And this is money raising that actually gets where people need them. Exactly. And that's what I like about Tree Nation. They let people work on it, and they will also plant trees that give fruit, for example, and medicinal things. So it's helping people in multiple ways. And I found this through a co-worker streamer. They call it co-working. Streamer on Twitch, Aloha Wendy, And she explained that to me because I saw it in her stream. And she explained to me how the system works, and also she showed me the website where you get all the information from all the projects, and I felt that was very important, and it's very good information, and I feel this is truly a project, a charity, if you will, of which I think, yeah, I can, through this, we can help the environment, and we can help the people. And in Tergaenae, and if I look at the world of my books, in Tergaenae, the people have a strong bond with nature, with the deities, with everything in the world. And I thought I feel it is a great way to both honor the characters and the environment in Tergaenae, a world which is very important to me, and honor you guys, the community, with this, and also honor the environment we live in, and help the people that live in this environment, and that sometimes also live in very difficult environments. And this is just the way I feel it, just a small way to help. But I feel it's a very nice way. So that's why I started this. So feel free to join me in this achievement. And indeed, Dida, it's meaningful, and that's what's so important to me. Yeah, so that's it. And in case at some point in the future someone wants to donate, I decided that for every 10 euros I get donations, I will plant a tree. Of course, depending on how things go, the forest will grow rapidly or slow. And at some point in the future, when I actually start to sell my books, I also want to donate a portion of my sales to this project, but that's something for the future. But yeah, that's what I found and wanted to share with you, and I'll make a separate video about it so that you guys can get a good idea of it. But for now, I thought, oh, this is a fun thing to share with you guys right now, and we'll see how it grows. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Tergaenae forest, as I have called it, to see how the Tergaenae forest will grow over the years to come. So yeah, there's that. And I have one more thing to show you guys, and Dida, thank you so much for sharing that with us this morning. Okay, I need to find it. Oh wait, I had downloaded it already. Where is... yeah, here it is. Image. Son of the end time. Okay, I downloaded it. Hello? Oh, damn it, that's the wrong one. No, not that one. Oh, okay, it's good, but I needed the other drive. Okay, I'm gonna download it again because I don't remember where I stored it. That's fine. No problem. Let's do that again. Streaming author channel. Fringe. Oh, yeah, I was overlooking it. There we go. Did I share this today? And I thought this would be a perfect ending of our day today. This is an image of the sun, and I think it is a perfect bridge to Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow. So just look at it, and I think you'll see exactly why Dida posted this and what I see, what we saw in the sun, and why this is perfect at this moment, the day before Valentine's Day. So I wish you all a wonderful remainder of the evening, because I'm really, my words are starting to get harder and harder. And did you say the hot heart? Yeah, exactly. This afternoon, 13:47 UTC time, actually. Yeah, and that is so beautiful. So I'm so happy that you shared this with us. The words are really hard for me right now. As you may have noticed throughout the last few hours. It's really hard to find everything. So yeah. Gilby, you say, here's to the sun, our local eldritch god who people do human sacrifices to, while occasionally it screams at us. Chat, press 1 if you agree. Well, Gilby, dear Gilby, I have to agree with you on that. Dida reads on the image, it's from a site called Space Weather. It's also an app. Exactly. So if you are looking if you want more photos like this, then check out the Space Weather app on the site, or check out Space Weather on the site, or check the Space Weather app. Yeah, I'm still finding words. And I will leave you guys with that. And I will see you guys in the next live stream Monday. Yeah, that's Monday. Today's Friday. So I will see you guys next Monday in the live stream and in the Discord throughout the weekend. And I wish you all a wonderful evening. Wonderful weekend filled with magic and creativity. And may the tech gremlins stay far away from all of you and from me. I would highly appreciate that. So, bye-bye.